Hello students, good afternoon. So we will take up the development of 20th January. So today we'll take up this. So the today's content include petition on conjugal rights, the first topic, and second we'll take up negative ion technology, its use and its threats, which has been reported recently, and we will discuss about the environment management plan of this Najafgarh Jil in Delhi. So to start with, the first topic, okay, the topic one, petition on conjugal rights. The news is that a case has been pending in the Supreme Court for a long period, and this is related to the conjugal rights under Hindu Personal Law or Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The case has been pending for a nearly for a long period, uh, around more than 6 months. So this has put a question mark on the court's proactiveness, why this matter has been pending in the court, and what this controversy is. The case is popularly known as this Ojawas Pathak versus Union of India, and the case was filed in February 2019, as has been mentioned here. The case has been filed. It was filed in February 2019, and the last hearing was in July 2021. Since July 2021, there is no hearing on this particular case. But this case related to the conjugal rights under Hindu Personal Law or especially Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Let's have a detailed discussion on this. The conjugal rights are rights created by marriage by the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. That means the right of the husband or wife to the society of the other spouse. The law recognizes the rights both in personal law dealing with marriage, divorce, etc., and criminal law requiring payment of maintenance and alimony to the spouse. Two things. So it is a personal law that deals with marriage and divorce, and also on payment of maintenance and alimony in case one is living to the other. Section 9 of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Section 22 of the Special Marriage Act 1954 empower a husband or a wife to move to the local or district court, subordinate court, complaining that the other partner has withdrawn from the marriage without a reasonable cause. Now, when there is a marriage, there is a provision for divorce. In this case, they can move to the court complaining that one of the partner has withdrawn from this marriage without any reasonable cause. So, that person has moved to the court for recovery or restitution of the conjugal rights. Okay, so because one of the party has withdrawn from the marriage without any reasonable cause, without showing a reasonable cause, either the husband or the wife has moved or withdrawn from the marriage. So to recover this or to restitution of this particular right, it is codified in the Hindu personal law but has a colonial origin. This law has a colonial origin. Fine. Let's go to its background to know the things. Originating in the Jewish law, the provision of restitution of conjugal rights between husband and wife reached India and other common law countries through the British rule. The Britishers were ruling India, so this provision was added by them although it originated from the Jews law. The British law treated wives as their husband's personal possession. No, very derogatory things we can say. Wife as their husband's possession, personal possession, like any other possessions. Wife is also a personal possession of the husband. Hence, they are not allowed to leave their husband. They cannot leave. Similar provisions also exist in the Muslim personal law as well as the Divorce Act of 1869, which govern the Christian family law. Incidentally, okay, the law that has Jewish origin came to India through the British rule. In United Kingdom, this has been repealed. In 1970, UK repealed the law on restitution of conjugal rights, but it is in operation in India till date. The country which has brought this law to India has repealed it long back, around 5 decades. But in India, the law is still in operation. Section 9 of this Hindu Marriage Act 1955, which deals with restitution of conjugal rights, reads, when either the husband or the wife has without reasonable excuse withdraw from the society of the other, the aggrieved party may apply by petition to the district court for restitution of conjugal rights, and the court, on being satisfied of the truth of the statement made in such a petition, that there is no legal ground why the application should not be granted, may decree restitution of conjugal rights accordingly. Here the court has the power to allow recovery of the conjugal rights. Because, so the section 9 of the Hindu Marriage Act says that either the party has not given reasonable excuse, without not giving substantial reason, so he or she has withdrawn from this marriage. So this can be restituted. Fine. But the more provisions in this, the provisions in this includes, so why it has been challenged. The law is being challenged now on the main ground that it violates fundamental rights to privacy. You know, the right to privacy is right now in momentum in India, and Supreme Court has recognized right to privacy as a fundamental rights in 2017. This is a very important judgment, you can say. Right to privacy, privacy of both the male and the female, it has been recognized by the Supreme Court in 2017. The right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of the right to life and personal liberty under Article 21. Okay, in Part 3 of fundamental rights. Okay, so this particular judgment of the Supreme Court, it is a 9-judge bench which has given this order that right to privacy is part of the fundamental right, had brought the situation or a big challenge for this particular law. The 2017 judgment has set the stage for potential challenges to several laws such as criminalization of homosexuality, marital rape, restriction of conjugal rights, and the two-finger test in rape victim investigations. These are the things which affect the privacy of the person. So these are right now under big challenge when the right to privacy has been accepted as a fundamental right. So these inhuman practices which are already earlier accepted or part of legal process, they are right now being challenged because so it is right to privacy, they are free. Okay, so criminalization of homosexuality, marital rape, restitution of conjugal rights, the two-finger test in rape investigation of the female. These are violation of fundamental rights, right to privacy. So these are this acceptance of right to privacy as fundamental right in 2017 judgment under Article 21 has brought this law to instability or these practices to challenge. The plea argued that court mandated restitution of conjugal rights amounted to coercive act, means forceful act, on the part of the state which violates one's sexual and decisional autonomy and right to privacy and dignity. See, the big challenge. Right to privacy of the individual. Okay. Vis-a-vis right to this restitution or court mandated restitution. The court will say you again go and stay. Restitution of conjugal rights. They are running contradictory to each other. It amounted to coercive or forceful act on the part of the state, as if the state is forcefully doing this, which violates one's sexual and decisional autonomy and right to privacy and dignity. Especially the case is more for the woman than for the or for the female than for the male. Fine. So, so why it is called it is more biased against the woman, not for the men but against the woman. Although the law is gender neutral because it gives right to both the male and the female. Since it follows both wife and the husband to seek restitution of conjugal rights, the provision disproportionately affects the woman. Fine. Because the male filed the case in the court to get back the female in his life or his wife in his life who has moved out due to torture, due to that marital rape or any other sort of domestic violence. Fine. It is disproportionately against the female than the male. Women are often called back to marital homes under the provisions and given that marital rape is not a crime, leave them susceptible to such coerced cohabitation. So that again put in a slavish condition. It is also argued that whether the state can have such a compelling interest in protecting the institution of marriage that it allows a legislation to enforce cohabitation of the spouse. This is again a challenge. Whether the state has that capability that to compel a female who is not willing to stay to forcibly stay with the husband, okay, and enforce cohabitation of the spouse. That is a big challenge. So this is also not in consonance or in accordance or in what you call it as compatibility with some of the Supreme Court judgment in different cases. The recent judgment in Joseph Sain versus Union of India case in 2019, SC put great emphasis on right of privacy and bodily autonomy of married women, stating that marriage does not take away their sexual freedom nor choice. This is a very popular judgment. If everybody is entitled to do their bodily autonomy, choice, and right to privacy, how can a court mandate two adults to cohabit if one of them does not wish to do so? This is a challenge. This is also a challenge by the judgment of the Supreme Court. If Supreme Court has given such an order, how the district court can compel someone or coerce or forcefully tell someone that go back and stay? And another pertinent matter to take into consideration is the misuse of this provision as a shield against divorce proceeding and alimony payment by the husband to the wife. This is misused. This particular provision is misused by the husband and it is used as a shield against divorce proceeding and alimony payment to the wife. Upon an aggrieved spouse files for divorce from their place of residence and their spouse retaliates by filing a decree of restitution of their place of residence. So they file at both different cases. If the wife is filing at a particular case at her place, the husband files at her own place of residence. And in two different courts, the same matter of the family is being discussed at two different places. This put the system into trouble. So there are some previous judgments. So in this particular case, in 1960s, the Punjab Haryana High Court in the Tirath Kaur case upheld restitution of conjugal rights, noting that a wife's first duty to her husband is to submit herself obediently to his authority and to remain under his roof and protection. It is a 1960 judgment. The court, in a series of judgments in the 1980s, have supported the law holding that the denial of marital and sexual life to the husband by the wife by refusing to permanently return to him is an act of both mental and physical cruelty. Situation is changing right now. In 1984, the SC Supreme Court has upheld Section 9 of the Hindu Marriage Act in the case of Saroj Rani versus Sudarshan Kumar Chanda, holding that provision serves a social purpose and as an aid to prevention of breakup of marriages. So this should be renewed, permitted. In 1983, a single judge bench of the Andhra Pradesh High Court had for the first time struck down the provisions in the case of T. Sarita versus Venkat Subaya and declared it null and void. The big change came in 1983 as per the changing time because women are no more confined to the home. They have their own dignity, they have their own source of income, they have their own freedom, own personality, own individual existence. However, in the same year, a single judgment in Delhi High Court took a diametrically opposite view of law. In case of Harvinder Kaur versus Harmander Singh Chaudhary, Delhi High Court offered the provisions of the resurrection. The Madhya Pradesh High Court in Bibas Bastap case noted this orthodox concept of wife, Dharmapatni, Ardhangini, Bharya, Anugamini, and expectation from her to subject herself to husband's wishes has undergone a revolutionary change. With education and high literacy in women, and with recognition of equal rights to women in constitution and abolition of sex distinction in all walks of life. This is another revolutionary judgment given by Madhya Pradesh High Court. Okay, she is a partner in marriage with equal status and equal rights with the husband, and the marriage cannot be a tyranny of the husband on the wife. So this is see how the different high courts are giving different judgment on this particular issue. So these are the issues, these challenges to the original thing that has led the Supreme Court to remain silent on this particular issue called that the petition filed for allowing restitution or recovery of conjugal rights of the husband upon the wife. And other cases been pending in the Supreme Court, there is doubt that what will be the judgment of the Supreme Court to make it very clear upon all the subordinate courts from district to the high courts in different rulings that a common standard will be set by the Supreme Court order on protection or petition on conjugal rights and the privacy of the women and how they are being protected by the court ruling. Fine. And the second topic will be on negative ion technology. This is a topic on science and technology. Okay. You see, the Authority of Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection in Netherlands. This Authority of Netherlands, known as the Authority for Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection, issued a statement identifying various negative ion wearable products containing more radioactivity than legally permitted. You know, right now they are being used as protective instruments where ions are used or radioactive metals are used, and the radioactive material used in them have more radioactive elements than the legally permitted level. They being health hazards. So, how far the manufacturers follow those standards? How far the technology has clearly made the people who are using those gadgets well aware about its positive and negative things. Negative, so what this negative ion technology, what it is? The negative ion technology embeds negative ions in personal products and is currently being advertised as a means to maintain health, balance energy, and improve well-being. So you see different bands, wristbands, quantum or scalar energy pendants. Okay, they are being used and they are being advertised that one can maintain good health, one can maintain balance energy in the body, one can improve its overall well-being by using these. instruments where negative ions are being used. Okay, so this technology used in certain silicon wristbands, quantum or scalar energy pendants, etc. Negative ions are also made when sunlight, radiation, air, and water breaks down oxygen. The minerals that produce these negative ions often includes naturally occurring radioactive substances such as uranium and thorium are also used in creating these negative ion instruments. It is believed that negative ion create positive vibes and uplift mood. See, the most important point of advertisement is so these create positive vibes and uplift the mood of the person for which so they are being used. It is believed that negative ions creates positive vibes and uplift the mood. They show the various mental and physical health benefits such as stress reduction, better sleeping, respirations, etc. Whereas these ions may also act as pollutants, make them negatively charged, are the allegation against this. Okay, so they are being used widely. The radiation detected in some of these products have been higher than the background level and in some cases high enough to require licensing. The mineral used in products contain varying levels of radioactivity. It can be difficult for the consumers to know exactly how radioactive these items are because radioactive is act of emitting radiation spontaneously, which is not monitored by the cannot be monitored by the individual who is wearing it. The product were found to contain radioactive materials and therefore continuously emitting ionized radiation, thereby exposing the wearers. So the product is sold by advertising its positive benefit, but the present awareness or the present concern is their negative impact. Instead of giving positive result, there is allegation, there is doubt that they might have caused negative impact on the health of the individual. Exposing to ionizing radiation can cause adverse health effect and wearing the products for extended period could pose health risk that includes tissue and DNA damage of the person who is using or wearing these gadgets. Exposure can also cause severe harmful effects such as skin burns, acute radiation sickness, and causes cancer and hair fall. Temporary reduction in white blood cells, possible chromosomal damage, reduction in resistance to infections are also possible. Okay, so they are right now being doubt being created on these things. So exposure for a prolonged period or extended period to these elements or these things may have negative impact on the health of the individual and also in the wider environment. The International Atomic Energy Agency researchers found that the undergarment industry in Malaysia and elsewhere advertise that their negative ion undergarments contain some like tourmaline, monazite, zircon, all known to contain uranium and thorium. So they are more hygienic, they are more safe, they boost the mood, they bring positive things. So they are being advertised. And the new generation are have a very have craze for these items. Using the band, using the pendants, using undergarments. So when these have not been properly evaluated, so doubt has been casted on their safety aspect. Long-term use or extended exposure to ditch, what will be its negative impact? Is the big question mark right now in the mind of the person. In the radiation protection and safety of radiation sources, the international basic safety standards, the IAEA considered that the frivolous use of radiations and radioactive substances in toys and personal jewelry or adornments, which results in increase in activity, is unjustified. That means what the manufacturers say is be mood enhancer, it will be promoting good health are unjustified. IAEA, the nuclear watchdog of the world, operating under United Nations Security Council, it has issued warning that this is completely unjustified. What the manufacturers say about its positive result or positive effect, positive impact is not justified, and each it has put a big question mark on the claim of the manufacturers. The IAEA publishes specific safety guide titled Radiation Safety for Consumer Products in 2016, in which it has clearly mentioned about this. In India, the Atomic Energy Rules 2004 contain provisions consistent with those of the IAEA. So what IAEA has published? So our Atomic Energy Radiation Protection Rule 2004, published prior to this IAEA guidelines, also contain the same measures. So this has emerged as a big warning to the persons who are using those gadgets where negative ion technology is or negative ions are being used, citing their positive impact on health, mood, well-being, without clearly assessing their negative impact. So it is high time that the company who are manufacturing this, who are putting the claim of its positive use or positive impact, and the person who are using it must made a thorough analysis to find the reality. Then if it is not at all harmful to the health or well-being, it can be used. But many agencies, including IAEA and Indian nuclear agencies, they have issued guidelines so putting the challenge to their use. This is a big question mark on the things, but the negative ion technology. Then comes the third topic, environmental management plan for the Najafgarh Jheel. So what is this Najafgarh Jheel? So you see, the National Green Tribunal has directed Delhi and Haryana to enforce environment management plan. The two governments have prepared for the rejuvenation and protection of the Najafgarh Jheel, a transboundary wetland. But it is a Najafgarh Jheel. It is a wetland. You know, wetlands are protected as per the international convention. Okay, my clear. So this transboundary wetland and implement this action plan. Okay, is to be monitored by the National Wetland Authority through the respective state wetland authorities. Fine. Okay. So wetlands are very sensitive areas. Okay. So wetlands are to be protected because wetlands are right now being under a process of loss, degradation. Okay. So they have been taken for different developmental activity. There's large scale degradation of those things. Okay. In India, we have 52 wetlands. Okay. So wetlands are right now being protected around the world. Okay, by the International Wetland Summit that took place in Iran, and wetlands are being protected like the wetlands of Odisha in Chilika. Okay, and here the Najafgarh wetland. Right. So on this restoration, the National Green Tribunal, the apex environmental tribunal of the country, issue notice to both the Delhi and Haryana government. So to implement the plan, they have prepared for this particular jail. Okay. Okay. So what is the environmental? Earlier, the Union Environment Ministry has set up a three-member committee to prepare an integrated environmental management plan for this particular jail. The top priority would be to notify the Najafgarh Jheel and its area of influence under the Wetland Conservation Management Rules 2017. The rule prohibits and regulates certain activity within wetlands and their zone of influence. Fine. So, internationally we have the Ramsar Convention. What is Ramsar Convention? on wetlands. Ramsar is a place in Iran. The wetland convention was signed there and it is popularly known as the Ramsar Convention. But all these sites or all the wetland sites in every part of the world are not included in the Ramsar Convention. Okay, but the government of the country or government of India, we have this wetland management plan and we have passed the wetland conservation management rules in 2017. And this rule prohibits and regulates certain activity within the wetlands and their zone of influence. It limits immediate measures to be taken, including demarcating the boundary of the wetlands using geotag pillars and commissioning a hydrological assessment and species inventory. So, what is the species who inhabit those areas, whether permanently or migratory species? Medium-term measures to be implemented in 2 or 3 years includes in-situ treatment of major drains, meeting the Najafgarh Jheel, regular monitoring of the water bird populations, and relocating flow obstructions such as power substations. The Jheel is known to be the habitat of migratory and resident water birds. Some are resident water birds and some migratory birds come to it during the particular season of the year. Okay. It also proposed a detailed estimation of sewage generation in the area considering 15 years of projected population and identification of all drains contributing to pollution in the Jheel. So this plan is prepared very proactive in a very proactive manner. So this can be restored. So some idea about this particular Jheel. It is located in a natural depression in southwest Delhi, close to Gurugram Rajokri border in National Highway 48. The lake is largely filled with sewage from Gurugram and surrounding villages of Delhi. A portion of the lake falls in Haryana also. The presence of 281 bird species, including several threatened ones such as Egyptian vulture, Saros crane, steppe eagles, greater spotted eagle, imperial eagle, and those migrating along the Central Asian flyway, has been reported at this particular lake. You know, there is a massive migration of migratory birds from Central Asian region to India. Even they fly till Chilka. So, what is the related concept? One spread over 226 square kilometer. The water body is handling Delhi and Gurugram and shrink to just 7 square kilometer due to rampant encroachment. See, from 2 to 6 square kilometer, area has been shrink to 7 square kilometer. So pathetic. Only human intervention. Greediness of man, destroying all natural creations. According to Indian National Trust of Art and Cultural Heritage, in touch, the revival of this Jheel would yield around 20 million gallons of water per day to support a population of 3.5 lakhs. Because you all know Delhi is a water scarcity area. In touch is non-profit charitable organization under the Society Act 1960. It has a big name. Fine. So what else? More information on this. Despite being the source of several benefits and sustaining habitats of diverse species, Najafgarh Jheel has been highly fragmented and transformed, built upon, used as a waste receptacle and infested with invasive species. The Sahibi River, of which Najafgarh Jheel was the natural floodplain, has been converted virtually into a drain. The decimation of the wetland has exposed the neighboring settlements in Haryana and Delhi to high risk of fluvial flooding and reduced groundwater level. Recent constructions within the wetland, while impeding natural wetland functions, are precarious owing to high seismicity and liquefaction within the region. So these human interventions activity completely destroyed the Jheel. The Afghan Jheel is a critical natural infrastructure of the region, buffering floods, treating wastewaters, recharging groundwater, and providing habitat to numerous plants, animals, and bird species. It can regulate the microclimate by virtue of being a heat and carbon sink. In fact, the pollution, the heat in Delhi also can be regulated to some extent if it is restored. Okay. If the Jheel can become the central to national capital region's ability to mitigate the local effects of climate change. Local effect. This because this will act in a positive way, contribute in a positive way if it is properly restored. And you must have some idea about the National Green Tribunal. It is a specialized body set up under the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 for effective and expeditious disposal of cases relating to environmental protection and conservation of forest and other natural resources. Remember this. This comes in a question. NGT. And there are very few countries around the world who have established environmental codes. Earlier, we have a green bench in the Supreme Court. Green bench in the Supreme Court to take up environmental cases. But India joined a group of 3 countries in the world to set up a specialized environmental tribunal only after Australia and New Zealand. NGT has provided a specialized role to the tribunal to act on issues where dispute arise under 7 unspecified laws. The Water Act, the Watersheds Act, the Forest Conservation Act, Air Act, Environmental Protection Act, Public Liability Insurance Act, and Biological Diversity Act. NGT takes up cases like this. NGT has 5 places of seating, so headquartered in Delhi, principal place of sitting. But apart from Delhi, it was sitting in Bhopal, Pune, Kolkata, and Chennai are the other 4 places where the NGT gives the ruling. NGT, since its creation, has given a number of landmark judgments in which it has restored or that climate or the environmental sanctity of the places. It has protected many monuments from the environmental due to cleaning the environment in around, and it has brought solace to many people who have been affected by projects which indirectly affected them. NGT is very exemplary judgment. Okay, so after these 3 topics, let's see some questions that are usually part of our discussion. Okay, so but before ending, just have an idea about wetlands. Wetlands are area where water is primarily factors controlling the environment and the associated plants and animal life. They occur where the water table is at its near the surface of water or where the land is covered by water. Wetland are defined as lands transitional between terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem, where the water table is usually at or near the surface, or the land is covered by shallow water. Okay, and the 2nd February is the World Wetland Day. In 1971, the Ramsar Convention on Wetland was adopted at Ramsar in Iran, and so many sites around the world have been declared the Ramsar sites to get international support for their restoration and maintenance of the wetlands. In India, we have a number of wetlands. Chilika was a Ramsar sites. Okay, was okay, and our big wetland site in Odisha is Chilka. Lot of measures have been taken to protect it. So, wetland protection will definitely act in environmental development in the country and in the world. Friends, after discussing some of the topics today, let's see some questions. The Global Environment Facility (GEF), it is an environmental question, serves as a financial mechanism for which of the following convention? The Convention on Biological Diversity, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, Wild Fauna, Flora and Fauna, UN Convention on Combat Desertification, Montreal Protocol on substance that deplete the ozone layer. So in this 1 and 3 are right. Convention on Biological Diversity and UN Convention on Combat Desertification are taken care of by the Global Environment Facility, from which funds are allocated for development, restoration of these particular things. So answer here is 1. Coming to question number 2, consider the following statement about National Commission for Protection of the Child Rights. The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights was created in 2005. When it was created? It was created in 2005. It was set up under the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015. It's not right because it was earlier, 2005. It works under the Additional Ministry of Women and Child Development. It's the right answer. It is mandated to monitor and regulate in-country and inter-country adoption. No, it's not the mandate. So answer only 2 is right. So B is the right answer for the question. An academic bank of credit was in news recently proposed under the which education policy? The recent National Education Policy 2020, the NEP, the National Education Policy 2020 has created an academic bank of credit. ABC has been created as per the National Education Policy 2022. So right answer is C. The quadrilateral security dialogue does not include the Quad as it is called, QUAD. It is a quadrilateral alliance of democracy. It includes USA, India, Japan, not Germany but Australia. In place of Germany, the right answer is Australia. So, okay, so Germany is not included. So, the right answer in this particular question is B, because Germany is not part of the Quad alliance. It is the alliance of democracy, includes USA, India, Japan, and Australia. So, Germany is not a member of Quad. And coming to the last question in this series, the State of World Population Report is released by the UN agency. Which agency? United Nations Population Fund. Okay, or United Nations Fund for Population Activity. So UNPF releases the World State of World Population Report. So right answer is C. So in this particular case, it is C the right answer for question number 5, United Nations Fund Population Fund. So friends, that today's session we have discussed some important topics. We discussed some MCQs. Hope these informations are useful for your preparation. And in coming sessions, we will go on discussing similar topics of importance for your exams. Thank you for watching us. So subscribe to this on a regular basis. Watch this regularly to update yourself and enrich yourself. Thank you.